Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be watching episodes 17 and 18 of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Very excited to be here on this Saturday morning once again. No wasting time this week, straight into the YouTube comments because they're massive. Massive from last week. So yeah, the vibe was I was kind of mixed on last week's episodes, and we go into some reasons as to why. I wouldn't say people disagree with me, but they're providing more evidence than I kind of supplied last week, I guess. I will say, in my thinking about last week, I really admire the show for creating a situation by which Miorine is working in Prospera's favor, and it doesn't feel contrived. I feel like there's a lot of evidence for why Miorine is doing what she's going to be doing, I guess. And that spans from the mother side of it, her mixed feelings about Delling, all the way to straight up, blackmail. I will reveal this thing that your father did, or not exactly reveal, but I'm guilting you into this, right? Like, there's the evidence stacks up. I can believe Miorine doing that kind of stuff, I guess. Either way, first comment here is from Molly, who shines a light on my questions about Nika from last week. Essentially, it's a little bit convoluted, but I was pretty much right. So Nerea is under the impression, this is what we think, that Nika is the one that leaked that Dawn of Fold was involved. So let me read here. Last week, Nika was discovered trying to contact the authorities and rat Shadiq and Dawn of Fold out. Then Martin ratted Nika out, and then Shadiq ratted Dawn of Fold out. Nerea only knows that Nika was trying to rat them out and assumes that she managed to. And yeah, I wouldn't say I remembered. I postulated. It was a leading question. I was like, can we get that confirmed? I don't really know. Which again, that's quite convoluted in my opinion. But it works, I think, and Shadiq gets out scot-free. That's the important part, right? They don't know that Shadiq was the one that, in that meeting, said that Dawn of Fold was involved. I think this is expanding on my point from last week of why you set up a dueling game premise and then kind of abandon it. And again, it's still probably going to rear itself back up again at some point, but you want to get a new audience into Gundam. That's kind of the thesis statement of this entire thing, if we're going to look at it quite cynically. So you take a lot of Utena type stuff and you bring in a different kind of otaku type audience, I guess. At least anime fan, I guess you would say. And I mean, it worked for me. I like Utena, and this got me in the door, and I'm quite liking what I'm seeing. So mission accomplished, I guess. And on this next point, I think this is when we get into the politics of the show, and if you lean a certain way, and you may see certain actions as justified based on, real world examples and whatnot. I'm with you. I'm with you. That's all I'll say. But I'm taking the show on its merits right now and what it's trying to say. It's all very peace and love and not very fight the power. But again, not every show has to be harshly political. It's fine. This is actually a very informative comment. You've set out all my questions from last week quite well, because now we go into the war petitioning part, right? Where Shadiq's essential plan when he takes over, when and if he takes over. So war petitioning is carving up entire regions of Earth for Spatian corporations to be permanent conflict zones for weapons testing and marketing. So constant conflict, that's a place where we can, sell weapons to. Like, it is in our best interests as a corporation to keep the war going. I wonder if we've ever seen that one before. Anyway, Shadiq, right? Shadiq now wants to sell all of Bennett Group's assets to Earth for $1 or whatever, essentially ending that side of it, ending all these kind of proxy wars, leaving Earth with a unified, large, intact military to see off other people that would... It's his idea of peace, right? There's no longer going to be this war petitioning stuff if we have all the assets, right? And we can defend ourselves against other Spatian kind of people that may want to do that kind of stuff in the future. Again, my question last week is, how do you sell assets to Earth? I would imagine you just split it up piecemeal to Earthian companies that share similar interests. Potentially not the Dawn of Fold types, because I feel like they would take those assets and then be the aggressors as well. Now, I believe this is about Olcott from last week. It is a little bit weird. Presumably, he was captured by Earthians after the attack and was re-educated about all the awful shit he'd put Earthians through with Dominicus, therefore changes his tune and becomes a Dawn of Fold type guy. Again, it's weird because in a conflict with Earthians, right, my family died. That you would think that would spin off into I hate Earthians, but it does not. Which is okay, that's fine. And Olcott's a side character, so it isn't integral anyway, I don't think. And yeah, we get a little bit in the weeds here about some Utena intertextuality here, of course. Potentially a double standard, but we're taking the shot its merits, I think. Next comment here from Raga Shingo. I feel like I should have expanded upon this point last week, because it's definitely something I was seeing as well, right? Essentially, the existence of Eri and Ariel is a embodiment of Vanidus's ideas in a weird way, right? It's about how humans can survive in space and like the next level and expansion and using gun technology in that process is what we're doing here, not the end result of that. It is a little bit twisted and fucked up, but I don't know, it's kind of like that, I guess. Now, what we need to figure out here is consent in the matter, and if a child can consent to that kind of stuff, and what even makes a human anymore? Anyway, but point being, she was a human that can now survive in space, or was it Earthian technically? Technically, right? I think that was the vibe. Also noting here that Elnora had a significant amount of prosthetics and the child probably didn't, hence why she survived and she didn't. I was also just putting it up to an adult having, better health and more strength overall than a child when it comes to these kind of things. There's a reason when put under stress for whatever reason, it's normally children and the elderly that pass. Next up here, we're talking about that scene in the greenhouse, and it kind of reveals the depths of Soletta's devotion, I guess, to her mother. Which, again, mother, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, Soletta has every reason to believe her, but us as the audience don't have that perspective. That's kind of... Again, I'm not blaming Soletta here. I think it's weird considering that we have the context, but I completely believe that Soletta would believe this, I guess. And I think a really interesting theme going forward is the twisting of this initial inspiring motto, right? Move forward and gain two. The hidden meaning there, of course, with the move forward and gain two daughters in a weird way as well. Yeah. Lots of fun stuff there. I didn't expect the show to go that direction with that motto, which I thought was broadly going to just be a positive thing. And yes, I can't help but feel bad for Soletta as well. We don't blame... What's a good example here? Like a cult. Maybe a cult's a bit extreme, but you know what I mean. You don't blame the people that got manipulated by the cult. It's easy from the outside looking in to be like, you're fucking stupid, that was clearly a cult. But, it's important to be empathetic, I think. But yes, I'm happy that somebody that Soletta is involved with and quite fond of in Miorine is seeing through this. Hopefully she doesn't get manipulated too far to the point of bad things occurring. But again, there's still like 8 episodes left, so probably will. Next up, we have Kosogtha, going into, again, a little bit of the etymology of the names of the Gundams. Prodoros was one that used by Dawn of Fold last week. We're saying Forerunner, which again has its implications as we describe here, potentially early signs of a disease. What can you read into that? Also translating to Russian for has grown and Serbian for penetrates, which is concerning. But again, you could see how all of those equal, Dawn of Fold in their own weird way. Yes, I would argue similarly that the Guel thing is kind of directionless in a weird way. I'm happy on a character level, I'm not happy on a plotting level, I would say. I also think it's a pacing issue, which we go into a little bit later with some other people's comments as well. I thought this was an interesting point as well. We get the curtain pulled back on both Shadiq and Delling's perspectives. Weirdly enough, they both have the same goal in a weird, kind of fucked up way, but are still in opposition with each other. Again, Delling is firmly anti-war. He is a humanist. He wants humans to continue to exist. He sees that corporate security forces skirmishing in small, relatively contained conflicts is an acceptable sacrifice to end whatever total war scenario he has seen, right? And again, I brought up Tanya the Evil last week. It's very similar in that regard, right? Where we're trying to do a little bit of weird stuff now to prevent complete and utter chaos. However, Shadiq is the counter to that, right? Shadiq's motives are literally a response to this. Again, as it turns out, a little war is too much war, and Shadiq is a consequence of that, right? Therefore, very involved with the Earthian side, wanting to unite Earth and supply it with bunch of resources and stuff, where his belief is that the threat of an actual dangerous foe would serve as a deterrent to Earthian-Spacian conflict. I think both are misguided in their own weird ways, which is very, very good. I wonder if there's a peaceful solution to be had by the end of the show. We'll see. And again Prospera has her own peaceful solution as well. It's just, if I control everything, right? If I'm literally God, then I won't let these kind of things happen again. Yeah, in the end, you would argue that it's all kind of inescapable. Even Prospera, throw her in there as well. There will still be conflict. It's, there's conflict within oneself almost as well. Crazy. I feel like the Natret stuff will be expanded upon, but we have to know that Delling had hope in it, right? So you'd imagine that it's this large-scale thing that was trying to meet kind of a peaceful solution eventually. And yeah, for the record, I'm not big on these, large-scale save-the-world solutions either. Again, I'm inclined to agree with your philosophy here. Shoutouts to Symphogear, by the way, as well. If everyone was just a little bit nicer to each other, it'll go a long way to making things better. For this last portion here, we get kind of very high-octane nerd shit for my tastes. Again, I'll let the show do the sci-fi for me. I'm not one to try to figure out how it all works, I guess. I do think it's an interesting discussion down here, however, about each of the gun bits, how much of the gun bits are Eri. Is it Eri split up into like 11 different pieces or whatever? Or is it like each one is an individual Eri? Have we like duplicated there? Is Eri still growing as a person whilst in this form? Like, does she have the brain of a 4-year-old or the brain of a 20-something-year-old, right? Again, this will only be elaborated upon if and when we have more conversations with her, I guess. To that point, right, if she's 4 or 20 or something, right, how have her kind of morals evolved? Have they evolved? Is she aware of everything that Prospera is trying to do, and would she agree? Are we going to have a conversation there with Prospera and Eri eventually? I don't know. It would be a direction I would take it, though. Moving on here to Bamps' comment, I think in retrospect it is, if I was like theorizing about the show in a more hardcore way, then I probably would have called something like this. But again, I think many people were under the same impression as me, which was that Soletta was just Eri under a different name. But yes, looking back at it now, there was a ton of evidence. A ton, for sure. And again, it's staring us right in the face with the naming stuff. Very, very cool. And yeah, last comment here from Pencil Sharp, which I want to spin off into probably a larger conversation as the show goes on, about pacing. Yes, I know too enough about Gundams to know that Gundam anime, to know that they're quite long generally, right? Some of them being up to 50 episodes, some even longer, I believe. Where again, if you want to tell this wide-spanning, lot of characters sci-fi epic, you have the space to be able to do so, right? You can introduce those characters that are on Earth in Dawn of Fold and have me actually believe them a little bit more, right? And have them less one-dimensional. There is a lot of Gundam packed into 2 cores here, right? And Utena itself was 30-something episodes, 39 or something, right? So again, I'm one to agree that it's going a little bit quick. A little bit quick. Again, I think some of the characters we're just not using are testament to that as well. Like, why have Cecilia in the show? We're not using the nerd kid either. Like, I don't know. Were they there for any reason? They're funny. Yeah. It feels like, again, if this thing was another core longer, you could expand these characters a little bit more and stop the episodes from feeling as jam-packed as they are. But anyway, I'm rambling too much too early. We're going to jump into the episodes here now. Just some broad sweeping setups. Shadiq is plotting. He's doing stuff. Miorine is under duress from Prospera. She's probably going to be acting in Prospera's interests now with the whole election thing. It's going to be Miorine up against Shadiq in a weird way. Guel's back. We'll see where that goes. He's going to try to rectify things. Elan knows some shit about Eri, potentially, and is also going to call Bell out on some bullshit as well. Soletta's being manipulated, but that's been kind of the thing the entire show. It's just showing even more now, I would say. And yeah, tensions are high, broadly, I would say. We'll see. We'll see where things go now. Moving on here, we have episode 17 first up. Let's jump right in. Like the video, subscribe, Patreon, Discord. Let's dive in. Rightio, I have episode 17 up there ready to go, or episode 5 of Core 2, I guess, as well. It's got 24 minutes and 7 seconds on it, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. I'm using the Judas file set, but if you use my picture-in-picture version, you don't need to worry about that stuff. It's linked in the description below. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Rightio? 3, 2, 1. Go! Manipulation. I think you could, though. The zero gravity stuff here is fun. Got her ass. But it reminds me of the scene where Soletta and Miorine were in zero gravity early in the show. Okay. Okay, the last duel. Okay, we'll see. What is Prospera's plan with one more duel? Is it something to do with permit score or something? Like, I have faith in her. Like, if we give her one more really hard duel, it'll push her to the point of expanding what I want to do with that side of it. Because I think we need permit 8 or something. And obviously we're up to 6. That would imply 7. Anyway, we'll see. Still really love this opening. Very high budget. Again, if there's an IP and an animation studio that has money, Sunrise and Gundam are definitely one of them. I wonder if Love Live still prints money the same way it used to. Probably fallen off a little bit. But I'd imagine the margins on Gunpla and all that kind of stuff are pretty good for Gundam, right? Yes. What's the episode called again? Precious Things. Who gets up out of bed like that? Reevaluate your priorities. Yes. Yeah, I'm apologetic for how things went last time. I think that's good. Okay. But obviously Miorine is just checking. Oh! Yes, I remember the importance of the birthday. Friend? Hey, yo. I'm recording too. Okay, you two. Yeah, I know. Partnership with Peel? I agree. Oh. These freaks, I hate the way they look. Interesting. Huh. So they kind of see through it a little bit. Interesting. But obviously, our interests align. Look at this freak. Throw a tomato at him. What? He's got a taser. Oh, okay, we're revealing this. Interesting. Oh, kind of. Yes! Daddy's home. I didn't run away. I got exiled. Oh, that's definitely what he's doing, by the way, but he's kind of cool. We fuck with Guel. I mean Bob. I mean Guel. What a loser. Oh. Okay, now you're here. Is Mirini still chilling around the corner? Oh. Thanks, bro. So awkward. Oh, you are hiding. Interesting. Okay. I know. Oh, my motto. Well, that's nice. You've taken a good inspiration from those words. But you did. When's Miorita gonna pop out? Oh. Ski? I think he did. Or he tried to. He did, I remember. He said it. It was like episode 3 or something. Oh. You still have stupid hair, by the way. What's this hand? I mean, I'm currently engaged. She's hiding around the corner. Interesting. Oh. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that from Miorino. Interesting. Exactly, yeah. You give him what he wants. But Miorino can't help but think this is quite cynical. You were only, Interesting. You're only doing this because Prospera's asking you to do so. Name one person that hates standing up more than Cecilia. Always on her ass. Okay. Okay. Oh. I didn't know they were putting more stakes on this thing. All about, again, I think it's getting that permit score up, right? Prospera's happy. Of course I do. This is the same spot that Soletta and Guel had a conversation early in the show. Mm-hmm. What? Haircut? Low taper fade? Everyone's missing? Look at all the murder I've done. In your name, Prospera. Aren't you proud of me? uh, I know. The signal? Yeah, haircut, dude. Haircut as character development, but the boy version this time. Oh, wait. They did the thing? Okay, sure. This is all very inspiring. Too bad Goel's gonna lose. Jaturk House. More like Jerk House. No, I don't know what I'm saying. Now they're like nice now. I like these guys. Oh, okay, he's having PTSD. Still sitting, by the way. Who the hell are you? What was that? That was a Hibiki Euphonium character had snuck into the show. She went to the wrong school. Where are we? Yeah, okay. Is the fight going to be done this episode? That seems very quick. Ariel. Oh yeah, why are you two hanging out? The Royal Rumble, yes. Okay. uh, what, you don't know? I think this Elan development's quite interesting, though. I really like Elan number 5. More than the base Elan, anyway. He's a little bit, he's a real fucker, and I like that. Yeah, nah, PTSD is crazy. Just mental trouble. You know. What? What was that? What was that about? Anyway, I'll never know. Me and the Gunbit boys, we're gonna fuck you up. Oh, sick. Choo Choo wants blood. That's the way you beat PTSD. You just lock in super hard. Okay, we're gaming. Oh shit, super kick. Hey, Soletta, time to lock in. You got another level to go to? Okay, nah. We put you in the spin cycle, you're done. This is very witch-like of you. Ooh, the laughter. Ugh. Oh yeah, happy birthday! I'm so blind. Of course that's a theme. Rings? How scandalous. Pokemon? Wait, she cooked your ass? Damn. Alright, am I stupid? I didn't see that coming at all. Okay. Alright. Guel wins. Yeah, I don't really understand what happened either. I think Miorine is very interesting here. So obviously, Prospera is mad about that, right? As well. Because it's like, I'm sacrificing this for you. This is in your best interest. Oh, just confessing straight out. To save your ass. Interesting. Later. Right over the heart as well. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, be as mean as possible right now to cut this shit off to essentially save Soletta from circumstances she doesn't understand. That's Miorine's motivation there. Now, I didn't see that coming at all. I wonder on the rewatch if I'll see a few more details there pointing towards that. Obviously, the wrong tack to take from Miorine, but I understand. I see the vision. I guess I want to see Prospera respond. Like Prospera's going to be like, "What the fuck?" So Ariel's going to be property of Jaturk House now. I wonder how that'll go. This ED is still incredible, by the way. Every time. I think I mentioned this. Maybe it was last week in Gundam. Or it was somewhere on the channel. I do want to like pick out a few really, really good openings and endings and stuff and shout them out from other shows I haven't done on the channel. And just what makes them good. And again, a trend you will see constantly is timing between music and animation. It is so important for these kind of things. So when that chorus first hits and they're all doing the little dance, when that hand goes up on that beat, very, very important to making this thing as good as it is. Indeed. Whatever you say, man, I'm with you. Ooh, sick. That looks very manga. Interesting developments there. Moving on to episode 18, which will be episode 6 of Core 2. Yeah, and there we have it. Episode 18 up there, ready to go. Looking at this first frame here, I must remember the other side of the duel as well, which was if Soletta won, then the kind of discrimination and abuse would stop towards Earthians. That didn't happen. So, in a weird way, also, Mirini is sacrificing a lot of Earthians and their kind of interests in this kind of ploy as well. So that's an interesting one to talk about. 24 minutes and 8 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly. Same copy as last time. Picture and picture in the description below. Let's give it a 3, 2, 1. Radio. 3, 2, 1. Go. Okay. Oh, it's weird seeing her in the different uniform. She's locking in and studying. That's not the Soletta I know. Oh, it's weird seeing her not in Ariel. I would still be worried. Ugh. Tomatoes on it, though. Ugh. You're a freak. Choo Choo, beat some sense into this fucking fraud. That's tragic. Anyway. That's terrible, man. Clearly cope. Clearly. What will the space baby think about this? Thoughts? Oh, haircut. Haircut. Haircut in opening. Let's go. I love it when the opening changes. It's also a shine. It's also a sign of budget, for sure. As I've continued to say with this show. Stinks of money. I like money. Yeah, there was another one there too. I feel like I'm watching between this and Tanya. Those are two expensive looking shows for sure. Look at all these freaks. Not the Discord call. Ew. Ugh. Schwarzkopf? What? Okay, so everybody had their own secret Gundam stuff going on. Interesting. What the fuck? What is happening in the show? Okay. Not anymore. Huh. Huh. Prospera clocked your ass, by the way. But I'm running. Indeed. Okay, are we gonna do an election this episode? Maybe. Wait, you're still going? Damn. Hmm. Beat her ass, Choo Choo. But she shut your machine down, buddy. Do you have some kind of humiliation fetish or something? What's going on? Yep, time to punch. I do. Okay. Then why are you being a cunt? Okay. Is he basically telling us to log off? But you were. Well, let's get some answers, right? Just the boys. Nope, not just the boys. You're not, though. Okay, and they all want... Ew. Now they all want the real Soletta back. I still might punch a bitch. I don't know. Oh. Lucky I ratted her out. I want footage of him dying. Have you guys been in this room the entire time? They're just hanging out. It's the Big Brother house. Yeah, okay. We're just out with this. Hey, I. Indeed. Well, it's hard. You know, just the social reality that I have to live with every day. Society and whatnot. Well, no, I'm not. Yeah, fucking clock his ass, quick. Exactly. Get baited. Hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's end all war. Exactly. Yeah, okay. The sins of the father and all that. Damn. Get shit on louder. Okay, weird scene. Oh. You're here. Why are you here? Yeah, we just want to have a talk. Yeah, so they're super cops. Gotcha. Why are you confessing to the ball? What? What is this scene? The pacing is actually manic. It's fucked. Oh. Oh, so this is how we involve you. You look really fat. I Yeah, I think Prospera ignoring Soletta here is something we should talk about quite a bit. Quite a bit. Where are we? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Indeed. Pause? How did Soletta get inside? She just fucking made her way there, I guess. Well, you're breaking the law right now, technically, but it's interesting that there's it seems like this relationship is mutual, right? Between Ariel and Soletta. Hmm. Space baby? Where the fuck am I? I'm having a lucid dream? Space baby? The hell are you talking about? Oh, you talk about time on Mercury. Yeah. Soletta's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like a witch. What? Rewind. Do you want to talk about that some more? Okay. Soletta's dying? Pardon me? I agree, wait a minute. Damn. They kicked her ass out. What? Oh wait, you're just out in space? That's pretty bad, actually. I need a hero? Okay. I don't know about a hero, but I found somebody. Clarify some things for me, mother, please. Damn. Yeah, they fucking kicked her ass out. I look out the window and see Soletta just floating around. Interesting. Same idea as Miorine. Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. What do you want me to say, man? That sucks. I miss a little bit of 2001 in that too. The pacing of the show is fucked. It's not quite what other show had fucked pacing? Oh, I'm forgetting now. Symphogear's pacing was fucked, but it was kind of cool. You got used to it after a while. Yeah, that must have been it. The scenes in this episode were just far too quick. Far too quick. I think the concepts at play are interesting. And again, this is important for Soletta's overall development, of course. They are right. You should divorce yourself from this purpose that you've given to yourself and find an actual, you know, real personality and whatnot. But they're doing it in the most harsh and cold way possible. Also, again, I think the implication of that scene is that you're like a clone that got born when you like returned or something. I'll go back and talk about it when I see the scene, but like confusing. I'm confused. But that's okay. Indeed. Give me a title. Well, yeah, not the best way. Yeah, fucking thanks, Space Baby. I think I'm gonna go eat something and then return. I don't know when, but I'll talk about these episodes some more. Let's do it that way, I think. And we're back. That was episodes 17 and 18 of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Yeah, so with this one, the pacing's kind of really getting to me. I think in spots here, it's actually quite poor. I'll highlight those examples, I guess, particularly in episode 18, where I think they borderline on egregious. Just scenes that don't really flow into each other. It's more out of necessity than like, it just doesn't flow. Like, it feels like we need to do this here for other things to make sense later, which feels, onerous. If it doesn't feel natural. And again, something that I think the show was succeeding a little bit more with earlier in it. I feel like we've gotten pretty complicated here, and I'm getting a little bit confused. And it's been kind of the trend over the past few episodes where I go back through in the analysis portion and I'm like, oh, so that's what they meant. Okay, fine. Where I guess I'm hoping a very similar thing will happen here, particularly with the end of episode 18, which I think is kind of convoluted. I think she's a clone. I think that's what we're getting at. I think that's what we're trying to get across. I don't know how she manifested. That's a can of worms. I don't really know how that works. That being Soletta, and Soletta was the focus of these two episodes pretty clearly. Things are going bad for her. How will she respond to getting cast aside by the two major people that she's cared about in the show, that being first and foremost Prospera, and then Miorine, right? In subsequent episodes, it's Miorine, then Prospera, casting her aside. Again, Miorine for sympathetic reasons, even if I disagree with what she's doing broadly, she has Soletta's best interests in mind, you could argue, right? Prospera's just kind of a cunt. But again, we kind of knew that already as well. Yeah, I'm interested to go back through here and see a couple of things. I think some of the ramifications of the three houses behind the scenes are getting messy as well. Like, one thing I'm really querying is Belle. Doesn't Belle work for Peel? So why is Belle then with Prospera's gang again at some point? And then she gets pulled aside for questioning by the cops or whatever. That's confusing. Peel in bed with Grassley, because Shadiq's good at lying, makes sense. But then Elon number 5, I think, has gone kind of rogue, because they were unhappy with him, Elon number 5, because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And then he tweaked out and confronted Soletta in the greenhouse, and then Guel jumped in, and then we were going to go report him, and then I think Elon is now hiding out with Grassley gang, with Nerea and Nika and stuff. On the positive end of the equation, I think they're doing good by Soletta's storyline by putting her into this position now. It is necessary for her to grow. In a lot of ways, I feel like it mirrors Guel. Guel was cast aside, exiled by the people that he cares about, and had to go through some pretty intense soul searching and so forth. I'm interested to see how we get Soletta through that and get her to rebound to, what she'll be later on. Hopefully, right? If and when she does do so, I guess. As well as that, I like some individual characters on a moment-to-moment level. Like, Elon number 5 is fantastic. I'm all about that. Choo Choo, another one of my personal favorites there, of course. Guel, I liked Guel, even if it is a little bit quick. Again, pacing. I like him coming out of his stuff and being a better person and, rising to the occasion. If, again, it is very quick. I'll jump back through here. Obviously, I'm going to be kind of clarifying things as I'm going, right? It's like, oh, that makes more sense now. Oh, this works, that works. Like that kind of thing, I think. But I feel like we need to focus up as a show. We're meandering a little bit. There's a few too many kind of, when you're cooking, and as soon as you get above like 3 pots on the stove or something, it's like, what are we doing? That's like too much, right? I got too many things on too many burners at the moment, and I need to switch some of them off, right? Or at least focus on one while the other two simmer. Feels like I'm juggling. That's another metaphor I could use. But again, we'll jump back through here. So, okay, I think this is the vibe upon review in my own head. I think you're almost holding Soletta hostage to get Miorine to do what you want to do. Right? As well as, again, as I went into in the start of this video, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of support in the show for why Miorine is doing what she's doing. I enjoy that. I think it'd be a little bit contrived if we didn't have such overwhelming evidence to the contrary, right? So again, I have an undue influence over Soletta. You clearly like Soletta. I'm going to continue to have Soletta under my influence unless you do what I want. Yeah, okay, it'd help if I read the subs on screen when they appear on screen in the episodes. That would definitely assist with my understanding. But you'd better promise me that you won't involve Soletta any further. We'll need to cut her off. Now, again, through the reaction, I was like, I want to see Prospera's reaction to her cutting Ariel off and blah, 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 blah. It turns out that's completely fine. That's part of the plan for you. Gotcha. Okay, that's sweet. But it also sucks for Suletta, like, she's got no mates now. So then, of course, the kind of premise of the episode needs to shift to how can Miorine get it so that we're freeing Suletta of Prospera through also having a duel happen and also making it seem kind of legitimate. And she does a pretty good job there. Again, that's why she's eavesdropping on that one scene later on, because she's forming that plan in her head as we're kind of having that conversation with Guel. Now, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I've cleared that one up a little bit now. And again, the drama of it is Miorine is very willing to sacrifice herself and Soletta's opinion of herself as well, in the process of freeing Suletta, right? And that's that kind of sacrifice stuff that I quite enjoy. It's that good old-fashioned trope of I love you too much, I have to let you go type energy, right? Right after the opening, we hop back in here. Suletta is waiting for Miorine's door to open after Miorine wakes up at a reasonable hour, and, you know, it's borderline obsessive. She's like a puppy, right? That's what makes, again, the decision at the end of the episode so very tragic. Again, this is clearly coming from a place of Suletta feeling guilty for the conversation that happened last episode, right? Man, this whole thing falls apart if you don't read that one sub at the very start, huh? Now this question becomes very obvious. You're asking if she would get rid of Ariel if I asked her to, right? Again, that makes so much sense now. Can I do this peacefully? Oh, you're not going to do that? Okay, now I need to come up with a scheme. I'm pretty dumb. I'm going to hand up accountability just a little bit. Of course, Suletta here doubling down on the Ariel as family thing. I don't want to let Ariel go. She's like a big sister to me. Then also introducing the concept of Miorine's birthday and wanting to make it up to her and do something nice, and it's on my list, and all these other lovely things, right? Just really piling on the pain of Miorine's decision later on in the episode. From that scene, we jump straight over to Shadiq, who's being a bit of a fuckboy right now and talking with Peel. Again, master manipulator with rat cunning. He knows what Peel wants, he knows what appeals to them, and that's Gundams. I'll transfer Gundam Incorporated over to you guys. Since you developed Farak in a secret violation of the Cathedra Agreement, this can't be a bad deal for you. You clearly are invested here. You get Ariel as part of the deal as well. I'm promising you the whole entire world. Hey, now join my side and support my election campaign. Again, he's a born and bred politician. He's making a bunch of promises he doesn't intend to keep. Because again, he's not selling anything to anybody else except Earthian stuff. He's just lying to you to get your support. Which again, he has a bit of a track record of doing as well. I do like Peel being smart here, seeing between the lines. So Sarius was one of the biggest anti-Gundam people basically in the entire show. He's out of the picture, and now you start talking all this shit about supporting Gundams and giving us Ariel and you know, Gundam Incorporated and all this other kind of stuff. Oh, 2 and 2 together, you clearly got Sarius out of the picture to make this power grab. Again, even if I think Peel are being a little bit limited in the moment by trusting Shadiq the way they are, they're smart enough to see between the lines and see what he's actually done here. I think that goes a long way. Straight from that scene with the Peel executives over to Elan. Now, that's good pacing, that's good editing, that's good direction, right? That, you know, similar concepts in our mind put together on screen in a way that is satisfying to the viewer. Great. I think we miss a little bit of that in episode 18, which is scattershot to say the least. We jump from one thing to the next without a lot of connective tissue. It's like we just need to show these scenes for the thing to make sense. It kind of feels like that. It's less natural, I guess. Either way, from here, Elan number 5 has stopped playing around. Give me Ariel. I'm sick of playing Loverboy or any of that shit. I'm sick of playing with your feelings. I just want the damn robot. Specifically here playing with Suletta's feelings. Don't you love me? Don't you want to give me Ariel? That's the one thing that could save me. It's almost like he's like manic, desperate to get this robot in the here and now, to the point where he's thrown away all pretenses. He even alludes to the fact that he isn't the same Elan as the other Elans, which is a big no-no. He's not supposed to do that. He's essentially gone rogue, and if Guel didn't step in, who knows what would have happened. Either way, Guel to the rescue, jumps in the way, helps Suletta in this trying time, and enrages Elan in the process. Guel's back to his Chad ways. Well, actually, he's changed a lot. He's very different more heroic, more noble character than he was early in the show, that he was quite arrogant and, he knew he was the best and he acted like it, I guess. Where this one, it's, he's protecting somebody. Thinking about it, it's actually the exact reversal of one of the scenes in the first episode, right? Like, wasn't it that you came in here looking for Miorine and then Soletta jumped in the way? In fact, I think Soletta slapped your ass, if memory is serving correct. This is a subversion of that scene pretty clearly now. I like that. That's pretty good. From here, Elan scampers away, and we see that Miorine has spotted this scene as well. Again, this implies that somebody shoot away Elan, and that I should probably eavesdrop, right? There's probably something interesting going on in my little greenhouse over there. Yeah, Miorine is being quite cynical here. She hears very quickly that Guel wants to restore Jaturk. That's like one of his #1 goals. I have a purpose now, is something he specifically says. Aha, I can use that. I can satisfy everybody. Prospero wants another duel. This guy wants this. I can convince Soletta to basically do whatever I want because she's gullible. Let's make him duel. Yeah, I can see her putting the pieces together now, and I see where it's essential that we've set up the scene this way. I feel like this line about precious things is a pretty important one. It's one that gets reused by a number of characters in this episode. In retrospect, it is also the episode's title. I don't want to lose these precious things to me anymore. Of course, we're playing off of that with Miorine as well. I don't want to lose this precious thing that I have, of course, being Soletta. And I have to love her and kind of leave her in the process, right? If I want to save her from people that wish her, the worst, then I need to do what I need to do, right? I think there's a temptation with this scene to say that it comes across as a little bit cheesy. What Guel's kind of doing here, this whole respect thing, this whole taking responsibility thing, the whole precious thing, the whole restoring Jaturk house thing. It comes across as very stereotypical anime arc. But again, it's a stereotype and it's a formula for a reason. I think ultimately it works here. It fits tonally. It's fun seeing we're almost full circle on the whole Guel arc thing. It's character development, right? It feels good. It's there for a reason. And yeah, using Soletta's own motto in the kind of process there, move forward, gain 2, that was an important thing for me through this process. That whole kind of motto and that whole philosophy that you've kind of taught me through the rest of the show. We must remember a very important conversation between those two characters in that kind of sunset type scene very early in the show as well. And again, part of the reason why I have affection for you. Also mirroring Guel's realizations around his family and his purpose is his clarity on his feelings for Soletta as well. Like before, he just kind of blurted out that he liked her, and he didn't really understand why, but now upon reflection and upon thinking about the philosophy of it all and, his newfound persona almost, he's able to talk on it a little bit more confidently and make a genuine confession. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. We also do a pretty trademark kind of haircut for character development here in a minute as well, which I also enjoyed, if, again, pretty cheesy. Also, we love a good freaked out Soletta here as well. Great voice acting on this thing, as always. I do say he comes across as more kind of confident, but there still is moments of Guel feeling kind of flustered and frustrated here, right? Like, it's not instantaneous. He's not a different person. It's good. It's quite good, actually. Having seen the rest of the episode now, I must say that the tragedy here is palpable, right? Soletta denying Guel's confession here, saying that I have something else precious to me. Of course, inadvertently putting the pressure on you, right? Oh my god, she likes me so very much. How could I cut her off? How could I be so mean to her and spit in the face of her feelings, even if ultimately it is good for her, right? Inadvertently, Soletta's making this very, very hard for Miorine. This is a little bit of that pacing stuff coming through, in my opinion. So we move very quickly from over here, where Miorine reveals herself and says, we're going to do a duel. Give me the gift of victory. I will say it's pretty cool, where she's pointing at Guel, and she says, give me the gift of victory. I think that's pretty good. But we go from that scene instantly into a scene right here, right now, where Soletta's not here and Guel's questioning why you're even doing this, right? I feel like this needs a bit of space, and I feel like we need a better establishment that Soletta's also not still here. It just goes bang, bang. And I'm like, I could have cut that up a little bit more, I feel. Yeah, am I stupid? I also completely ignored this scene in my kind of reaction as well, where she very clearly says to Juturk that I want, or Guel, I should say, very clearly to Guel, I want you to win this thing. And then I was surprised when the thing went off later on. I don't know. I think I have brain worms or something. Like, that's uncool. Anyway, hey, I know what motivates Guel now. I can use that in the process of getting what I want for the whole Prospera thing. Makes sense. It becomes quite ironic, my words from last week as well, which was, when are we getting back to the dueling stuff? When the very next episode was going to have the dueling stuff. Short-sighted from me, of course. And again, I said we kind of introduced this idea of the holder and Soletta being the holder and didn't make her lose it once. They knew better than me. They were just holding out a little bit more. I just needed to chill out. Here we're putting things on the scale as well. We're staking things. Soletta here specifically staking stopping the harassment of Earth House. So again, I'm going to imagine that Miorine also now knows about these, what's the word? The stakes of the duel from either party. So this also frames her actions later on as quite interesting. Essentially, if Soletta was to win this particular duel, the harassment of Earth House would stop as well, which makes her direct decision to not make that happen a sacrifice of Earth House in the process. But again, I just think that goes to show how much she loves Soletta, right? I will sacrifice every single other one of these bozos for just you, even if you don't know it. Guel's stake in the duel, of course, is Ariel. This was prompted from Miorine. Pretty clearly now, right? Hey, you say that you want Ariel, because that's how we separate Ariel from Soletta, because I know that Prospera only really wants Ariel, right? Which again, that leads in episode 18 and the events at the end there, which are quite tragic. Yeah, this is clear. This is clear on the rewatch. I'm a stupid idiot. She's scheming over in the corner because Soletta's like, why would Guel want Ariel? And then it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Disregard it. It doesn't matter if you win, right? It's very clear that Miorine is being sus. It is also revealed here that Miorine told Guel all the stuff about Prospera and how Prospera is an overbearing influence on her, and that Miorine's actions here to ultimately set her free. Again, both Miorine and Guel kind of mirror each other's feelings here now, right? We're both sympathetic to the same cause. We care about Soletta, again, to the point where we're sacrificing our own individual feelings for her and letting her go, right? This is ultimately going to be good for her in the long run. I only want her to be happy. She needs a world where she can be free from Gundams or anything else. Guel remarks here that there is no world like that, though. That what you're ultimately searching for may be in vain, which again mirrors a lot of the other themes in the show, I might add. Yeah, I don't know what I was smoking earlier. This is clear now to see what is happening. Now, this is unnecessarily cruel. Why make the bug or the virus or the whatever that Miorine uses here to shut down Ariel? Why make it an app? Why install it on her phone without her knowledge? And why make it a symbol of their union? It being like the little keychain things that they both share that are kind of this weird, kind of ugly, cute thing going on. That seems fucked. That seems like you're purposely trying to make her feel really bad through like symbolism and stuff. That is like on a storytelling level cruel. You could read between the lines and say that ultimately this is for your own good. It's ultimately a symbol of our union in a way that nothing else could be. It is what is the greatest form of love if not sacrifice? But if I was Soletta, I would think it was cruel. Prospera here clearly seeing between the lines. Don't you feel sorry for her? She was rather fired up. When the time comes, I'll give you the signal. So I think the other vibe here as well is that Prospera still... She wanted a duel for a reason. She wants Soletta to reach a certain permit score or a certain level of kind of something with Ariel before we pull the plug, right? And I think that limit is also what is represented at the end of episode 18, whereby Ariel almost has sentience on her own now, right? It's almost Eri can control the thing and doesn't need a pilot, right? So again, Prospera wants to reach that goal and then cast aside the person she used to get to that goal, right? Which again, you double on the cruelty there of, I think, Soletta essentially being a clone of the thing that Prospera wants, right? This is when we could get some interesting Elan stuff, right? Elan and, you know, Soletta talking about what it's like to be a clone of somebody else that's quote-unquote important, and how it feels to be cast aside when you don't do your job correctly by your superiors. That could be an interesting framing for a conversation later in the show. And now that I think about it, they're almost certainly going to do that. Well, this is another interesting point, too. Remember the whole thing about the AI? There was an AI that was, using the mobile suit for Guel back in the day, and he took it on his kind of own self to be the one to pilot it, and that's something that kind of Soletta inspired in him. He's now willing and able to incorporate the AI into whatever's going on, right? Pride alone won't defeat Soletta Mercury. I need everything in my disposal to do so. I won't feel personally slighted by, the use of this thing. And again, feeling maybe some kind of way about it, considering the father connection there too. And again, casting aside his pride for the greater good here as well. All this character development stuff for Guel that's quite nice. In the background, we also have Random Girl getting with Lauda, so funny? I don't know. That could be interesting if the characters were developed at all. Yeah, kind of this final portion of the episode feels like the kind of Guel arc variety hour. It's all about him, basically. He's making good with the family, he's making good with his brother. We have a small little PTSD thing here, which is pretty pog too, where he kind of has to finally overcome piloting a mobile suit again and being in control of, again, this weapon that can murder, casting aside the past and his past pride and all these kind of things in the process of, acting for his family's best interests, bringing them back to the top. Still find it extremely funny that you haven't done anything in the show. I've never seen her standing up. I think that's still a funny bit. I stand by that. Does anybody want to explain what the fuck this is? I riffed in the episode that it's a Hibike Euphonium character that rolled into the wrong show. Am I supposed to recognize who this is? I don't want to see any more fighting. What do you mean? Who are you? Who are you? I don't understand. Weird. We're getting to a little bit more of that pacing stuff I was talking about where it's not great. We kind of, as Guel and Soletta are walking out onto the battlefield, essentially, we flash to 50 different conversations, which are quite hard to follow. And again, especially through a, English person watching lens. I need to keep reading and then look at what characters are there and then keep reading. And it's a little bit much. It's a little bit much. And this is coming from somebody that watched Tatami Galaxy on the channel, which was very fast, but I think, again, it's less that side of it, the sub side of it, and more the scenes are just a little bit too quick. Either way, in that whole montage, we get the feeling that Shadiq understands the pretense to this battle a little bit and understands that Miorine's cooking something. We also have Elan number 5, who is now hiding out with Grassley, essentially. So Grassley and Gundam's in cahoots. He figured that, considering what he saw during the Rumble. Essentially, he saw also Shadiq and Shadiq's people kidnapping Sarius. So he's like, they're cooking something. I'm going to use that information to get in with these guys because I'm not welcome at Peel. It also gives a great opportunity for these two characters that have been paired quite a bit, Nerea and Elan number 5, to riff off of each other, which is good gear. That's a, if you're going to be a little bit contrived, then at least be contrived in the process of getting to cool character interactions like this one. Now, for being the final quote-unquote duel in the show, I feel like we could have been a little bit flashier. There is some cool moves in this fight. I like the kick quite a bit, but I think more this is trying to reflect the battle very early in the show between Guel and Soletta. Even the background's very similar. I think that's on purpose. And I guess grounding duels right back to the very beginning, especially for what is quote-unquote the last one, yeah, I think that's what they're going for, even if it didn't wow me in the moment like some others have. Guel here is really feeling the PTSD of it all, which again is fair enough. He killed his own dad in one of these things. And yeah, Soletta's broken. We saw her in a montage in the very beginning of this season defeat basically 12 combatants back to back to back. she's strong. She's overwhelmingly strong and easily would have beaten Guel if not for the bug, right? In a very overt anime kind of way, it's clear to see what's going on with Guel here, right? In the process of winning this battle and winning the pride of the Juturk house back, he needs to confront his demons with his father and the things that led up to that situation with his father as well. Him being exiled and him being on that particular ship at that particular time was a consequence of his pride. It was a consequence of, battling when he shouldn't have and rushing out and doing things his own way, and, he sees it almost as a consequence of that kind of stuff, right? I was forced into a scenario where me and my father were on different sides of the same coin, and I was forced to do what I needed to do to survive because of my earlier actions. In that way, him overcoming this hallucination and this kind of PTSD stuff in the here and now is a full completion of that story arc. I'm a completely different person from the me that would have done these actions, I guess is what we're trying to say here. And again, a very direct way. I would have loved for a more straightforward motivation for the switch in the scene here. It feels like he just locks in and overcomes PTSD. You could argue that it's all of his own house shouting support for him that forces him over the line, but I probably needed something a little stronger there. Maybe a cut here of some choice words from Olcott or something, right? That would give some more oomph to that episode 16 stuff. Because for my 2 cents, it seems like he was struggling with the stuff and then he just got over it. Again, probably needs to be paced better there. Either way, this is where Suletta turns it on and starts using the permit field fucking super mage shit, witch stuff, as you could see here with the posing. Yeah, this is when she would normally win the fight. This has been the trend in the show thus far, right? This is how she defeated Sophie as well. So we get to a certain point, something resonates with Prospera's helmet here, right? We get a phone notification on Miorine's end from Prospera that, hey, it's ready to go, hit the button, literally make sure that your wife gets defeated right now. Now, the cruel irony here is the notification is also Happy Birthday. It's the Happy Birthday song and melody. That was unnecessary. That was cruel. Of course, again, the thing that stings here for Miorine is that Soletta's doing all of this for my sake, and specifically my birthday. Obviously, this ties into the early stuff in the show during the prologue, so much emphasis put on birthdays, even all the way back to the Elan number 4 kind of stuff, right? The happy birthday to me gets incinerated, right? Which is no good, obviously. In a very similar way here, I feel like Soletta is the one being incinerated. She's the one being cast aside, having her usefulness been exhausted, right? And again, using the happy birthday motif to connect the two is quite smart. That's a good writing decision. Well done. I also like in the kind of audio design here, you can hear a little bit of the kind of airy laughter stuff going on. I think that's pretty good. And again, we really pile on the pain here. Soletta's like, we're going to buy rings and wear dresses and it's going to be all beautiful. Our, same-sex marriage is going to be epic. And then, lo and behold, she hits the button to turn me off. Yeah, even the apology there from Ariel. Like, Ariel knows what's going on before Soletta even does. Very funny. So again, I will reiterate, hand up. This is an all-timer blunder for me. There's been some bad reactions on the channel of me just, missing crucial stuff and being confused. But, This is a bad one, for sure. I'm remembering a Monogatari one that was quite poor, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, this twist, I called it a twist, is quite obvious if you actually watch the fucking episode. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. So obviously Soletta is shell-shocked here. She doesn't know what the hell is even going on. She's never even experienced a loss such as this. And in walks Miorine to pile on the pain. Miorine here says, it was me, the one who turned her off. I was the one that shut Ariel down here at this time. I wanted you to lose. You made a good shield. It was a trick. You have been deceived. I have fooled you. I no longer want to be related to you. Oh my god. I'm also taking back holder status. I'm changing your uniform from this uniform to the generic uniform, of course. Hooray! I get to talk about Utena again. Hooray! So, kind of really minor spoilers for Utena, but Utena has a dueling game structure, and there is a point whereby Utena loses a duel. I know, shocking, right? At that point, it's also tied into the narrative and some really cool Utena stuff going on, where she changes her uniform from her unique uniform to a generic uniform, right? Now, again, I prefer it in Utena because it's a conscious choice of Utenas, which I think is very interesting, but here it works the same way, right? I've taken your main character status almost. I've taken your importance to the plot, and the thing that even hooked you into this mess in the first place, you've become a generic student. You're no longer on the same level as the special students like me, Miorine, and Guel, and Shadiq, and Elan, and all those guys, right? You're now a background character again. That's kind of what we're saying here, and I think it's pretty neat. Obviously, the placement of the logo over the heart there as well goes to show the heartbreaking nature of this to Soletta here in this time. Now, again, it's tough love from Miorine, because I'm cutting you loose so you can be free. Free from Prospera and free from the bad things that are planned for you. Obviously, I can't tell you that because reasons. I have your best interests in mind, just trust me. This is what I mean when it's kind of a tough episode, or set of episodes for, Soletta. She ends this episode grief-stricken, in tears. What happens at the end of the next episode? She is grief-stricken, in tears, after being rejected once again. And that's what I mean when we're setting up for larger development for Soletta going forward. You only make characters go through so much pain if you got something planned for them, is my point. Now, I came out of episode 17 quite a bit more positive on it than I was initially. There's still a few things that irk me here and there, but I now understand it a lot more. Let's see on a rewatch if we can do the same thing with 18 here. For a start, this is a shock to the system, seeing you in a very different uniform than we've come to expect. Very, very cool. And everyone is shocked to see that you're focused in class and answering questions and seem kind of locked in. Great face here on... what's his face? I forget his name. But great stuff. I like the level of concern of seeing a studious Soletta. I think that's very good. Also shell-shocking to see Ariel, to see Soletta not in Ariel, is my point. Like, it's a great kind of shake of the status quo that the show's had up to this point, I would say. Now, I don't know what the giant fucking bowl of bullshit's about, but that doesn't look appetizing at all. I guess you could read between the lines and say that the presence of tomatoes on the meal is probably pretty pointed. I like this for Choo-Choo, and we're going to talk about Choo-Choo quite a bit this episode. Her progression from this aggressive hothead through to somebody that can actually read between the lines and see somebody that's actually struggling, right? Think about, again, the first interactions between these two as characters, and now the regard you're holding Soletta in. It's quite nice to see. Again, character development. If you're going to have a two-core show, then you want to see some stuff like that, I would say. You could do the, psychoanalysis thing here, right? Soletta wants to focus in on something tangible to distract her from the emotional weight that she's currently going through, right? You see this in a lot of things, especially post-breakup for people, right? There's a reason why people become really obsessed with work, or start working out a bunch, or, pick something else to study, or get a new hobby, or all these other things. It's something, again, it's almost like trauma for your own fucking emotions and brain and stuff, right? You want to find something that eliminates that trauma from your life and stops you thinking about it. For Soletta here, we focused in on the list, where she's made great progress, doing a number of things that you would want to do at school and fulfilling that end of the bargain. Very, very pointed that she is focusing in on a list and ticking things off of a list. It is a form of progress and a, tangible form of progress that she can continue to tick off and say, no, I'm still good, I'm still doing things, that kind of vibe, right? Even if, again, she is freaking out on the inside and lets it kind of all out at the end of the episode. And now, over to the most cursed partnership of all time. We have this new character design for Guel, which is neither here nor there. The haircut's fine. I don't know about the suit and all that. But this I hate. This is objectively shit. What they've done here with Miorine. She looks so fucked. It's like we've... It's like an alternate universe Miorine where she's evil. That's the only way I can describe it. I hate it. It's objectively terrible. It's like we've delinged up Miorine. The curse of the Gundam, indeed. Jesus Christ. Again, there may be some people that are a little bit more into the office chic look than me, which may be enjoying this for sick, twisted, fetishistic reasons. That is not me. I do not like. I do not like. Either way, back to a plot perspective, right? Guel is struggling to get support at the moment because, again, Jaturk's name is a little bit down in the dumps a little bit, right? They need something tangible. They need some evidence to show some people that they are worth investing in and worth being a going concern and all this kind of stuff, right? And again, if we're both working on this kind of Miorine campaign to be president, then again, now we need to get to the drawing board of how we're going to convince people that that's a good idea. For one, we're getting a look at this Gundam that was developed in secret by Jaturk, that Miorine didn't know about, that that Prospera did, and you know, we could sell this as a way to get people interested and get some kind of, you know, support behind us. I seem to remember my mind's eye as seeing some scenes where Prospera and Vim Jaturk, the dad, were talking about some stuff in hushed undertones. This may be part of that conversation if I was to go back and reread those scenes. Of course, Miorine is blindsided by this, but hey, we have a Gundam. That's pretty cool. However, Miorine basically denies this, right? So, this is important character stuff for Miorine and this general kind of theme in the episode of, or I guess you would say the show, not sacrificing your morals in the gain of power, right? And trying to stay true to yourself and true to your initial goals in the process of doing what you need to do into the future, right? We saw this a lot with Nika. She will not sacrifice her ideals and her morals in kind of joining with Shadiq and the Grassley stuff and all that jazz. Even if it would personally benefit her, she's not going to do that kind of thing. Similarly here we have Miorine, right? Think about the kind of ethics and the mission statement of Gundam, right? They're not about weapons. They're about helping people. It's about eliminating the gap and elevating humanity and, you know, all that lovely kind of Dr. Cardo type stuff. So, Miorine openly endorsing a Gundam, a weapon of war, and using that as basically her coming out party and showing this new union and all that other kind of stuff is bad news. We're not going to be able to do that. Hence why we go the kind of Earth peace direction we do later in the episode, I feel. I think that's pretty good. The word here we use is track record, and Prospera is right. We will need a track record to win this race, especially when Shadiq is our biggest rival, and he has the support of Peel as well. Of course, we're talking big picture stuff about the dichotomy that's central to the show. You know, Gundams used for war and Gundams used for saving people, or more like Gund technology, I guess I should say. And again, obviously reflecting the internal conflict within yourself, Miorine, between Nutret, who was about one side, and Delling, who was about the other, right? And how they both were kind of at either end of the spectrum, and they've both kind of made you. See what I mean? See what I mean? Now, this was a head-scratcher, so let me catch up on Bell. Bell is working for us, which is pretty based, and not really for Peel anymore. She's technically an employee of Gundam, even though Gundam was a unification of the Gundam portion of Peel and Shinsei, right? So that's weird, because Peel's obviously gone in this direction, but now Bell's pretty squarely working with us, and she gets this report on this thing that she didn't know about before, which is essentially going to be a gun bit in mobile suit form to expand Ariel's data storm network. So, from my knowledge here, we're going to have a bunch of little fucking Gundam dudes, little mobile suit dudes, that are going to be able to be pretty strong after we do this Quiet Zero thing. I think that's the vibe. We're going to have like an army of really fucking good Gundams, because our range is going to be so big. When that range is that big, we can control anything within the range. Regardless, it's going to be like we remote control a bunch of these things using Ariel, I think. But this is what I mean. That scene, let's clock it, chat. We get a small introduction here after here. Small introduction scene. Small, very quick, wide shot into Bell reading a fucking iPad. That scene is 28 seconds long before we're on to the next thing, and really is just a small taste of a concept before we are going to use it later in the show. I just think you can use your time better there and not flip-flop all over the place, right? That was a new location with new characters, with a new conflict that has been cast aside after 28 seconds for a new location with new characters with a new conflict, right? Because now we get to complicated cross-pollination stuff where Prospera is meeting with Shaddiq, where I think the vibe here is that Prospera has clocked Shaddiq for being a bit of a fraud. Like, they're talking about Gundams and uniting on that kind of fact, and then Prospera's like, but there were Gundams that you could have recovered if you're that interested in them after the whole Royal Rumble debacle, right? Unless recovering those Gundams and getting them to have a look at it would have been detrimental to you. Which it would have. It would have revealed your deceit. And Prospera knows that and kind of calls him on that, but then we have Miorine and Guel walking in and being like, why are you fraternizing with Prospera, blah, 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 when in reality Prospera is in control of this thing, really. The reveal here, mainly the importance of this scene, is that Shaddiq tells Miorine that he's got Peel on his side as well. He's going to landslide win this fucking election if left unopposed. If she doesn't do something, it forces Miorine into action is the point. The vote's in 3 weeks. I look forward to it. Hey, get your shit into gear, basically. Now for something I think that is genuinely quite well done in the episode, I really like Choo-Choo's actions. So Choo-Choo sees through the cope, right? Aren't you pissed off at Miorine? She left you for that Jaturk blowhard and betrayed you, essentially. She stabbed you in the back and told you that she stabbed you in the back. Don't you feel anything about that? Miss Miorine did nothing wrong, says Soletta. I'm the one at fault. I broke my promise. It was foolish of me to think I was ever a match for her. That's not your... No, that is a defeatist attitude. That is pure and utter distilled cope. Be better. And stand up for yourself, damn it. You are good enough. That should be the kind of stuff that Choo-Choo is saying here, I think. Obviously, the framing of this little keychain is pretty obvious as well. It lying on its side, unused, but still here in case she ever wants to come back, right? But yeah, right from there, we get to this absolutely, like, bipolar scene. What is Lauda doing? So Lauda walks in and says, nobody needs you anymore, and tells her to fuck off, essentially. You empty Mercurian wench, which causes Choo-Choo to jump in and want to punch him in the head, which is fair. I have no intention of fighting you. You saved me from the open campus, or saved me at the open campus. Thank you. You have my gratitude, all that other kind of stuff. But why does that make him able to be a cunt? I don't understand. I don't get it. That's my point of issue with that scene. Why come in so hard if you're just going to thank her in the pros? I'm left stunned as well, Choo-Choo. I am. It's very clear to see here that Soletta's almost at her breaking point. I do like the build of the episode to that breaking point by the very end. We'll talk about it later. There's a lot of good stuff going on in that scene, I'll say. The plot relevance of that scene is that by the very end of it, Choo-Choo's had enough. I've had enough of seeing you like this. I want to see the real Soletta back, the Soletta that I've become friends with. How to do that is we get closure. Let's go to fucking Miorine and let's sort it out with her and get her actual take on this kind of stuff. I think it's probably the worst thing that could have happened to Soletta is finding Ariel and having what happened there rather than just having a conversation with Miorine again with Choo-Choo present. Just not good. Not good what happens there at the very end of the episode. So yes, we're going to go right to head office and give Miorine a piece of our minds. Are we going to leave Martin and the gang back here to hold down the fort, make sure that nothing happens. And I like that basically everybody's in agreement here. We want the real Soletta back. We want our friend back. Let's give her the push that she needs to go and rectify things. All except for Martin, who is a loser and is being left in the dark because he is racked with guilt because of his actions, of course. Another choice line here is that, hey, Choo-Choo, you would normally punch people in the head by now. What gives? Well, I was channeling Nika in this kind of stuff, right? I thought about what she would do. I'm kind of standing up to be the Nika in this situation in Nika's absence. We're really feeling her loss. And again, this is where it links into that Martin stuff and gets into that guilt, right? I'm forcing people to act like other people because the person isn't here that I ratted out, right? Yeah, look at this fucking fraud. I hate Martin. Get him out of here. I don't even know if his name's Martin. I'm just calling him Martin. Like Martin from The Simpsons, just a bit of a loser. Now, is Nerea drawing fucking dying birds in her book? She's a little bit of a tryhard, I'll say that. She's quite the artist, though. I like the drawings. I do think it's quite ridiculous that we are still in the same exact room, basically under lockdown, in the same positions that we were. I think it's implied that at least days have passed, if not a week. We're still in the exact same spots. We hadn't shifted at all. I just think that's quite funny. More than anything, this is the Nerea and Elon number 5 show, where they both barb each other with different threats and words over the course of the scene. I quite liked it. And again, Elon's he's let loose now. He's just saying whatever. He doesn't have Peel breathing down his neck anymore. He's acting on his own kind of accord. He's able to tell Nika here that I'm not the same Elon. I'm not the same Elon that everybody knew. I'm a different, enhanced person. Now, we're also in the process holding out for the real Elon, right? I think Peel still has something in their back pocket where they want to put this guy on top, because he statistically is the best to do so, right? Like, we have crunched the numbers. This Elon is actually the best. We should support him. Which, again, is in fitting with this kind of Peel motto, I guess you could say the philosophy of their overall part of the business, right? That house is kind of this overall like kind of AI number driven type of stuff, I would say. There's no heart to it, there's no soul, which I think is the core of what we're trying to get across broadly with their following, with what makes them poor. So again, one to watch. They're going to want to put this fraud on top here at some point. So Peel uses its own unique AI to select the company's leaders. That one decided Elon as the best leader. But when the stupid kind of dueling game started, we knew that we couldn't sacrifice our Elon in the process of trying to win that thing, right? Because, you know, if we were to use our Gundam, right, and it ended up killing him, that would be bad. He's our best boy. So we need backups. Let's take a bunch of people and make them look like Elon and get them to work for him. And in the process, also be guinea pigs for the Gundam technology that we were kind of secretly working on. Makes sense. It's the perfect kind of risk assessment coded way to deal with all of this shit. It's very, very Peel. I think that's pretty cool. Now, I think Elon number 5 hits a sore spot for Nerea when he starts to bring up Gundams being things that kill people, right? To pilot a Gundam is to basically sacrifice your own life. Now, the Sophie stuff is probably still hitting a little close to home for you, so there's that. And again, then you bring up Soletta and Ariel, right? Which again, hits a little bit close to home to you. Basically tell him to shut up, right? What about you? Is there any reason you pilot a Gundam, Nerea? No, there is no reason. And again, you poke the bear. I see, so you're hollow inside. So you tell yourself it's for the Earthian's sake, but you really have nothing there. And again, from there, it's attack mode. And this is when we turn on the voice acting as well. You know, Aoi Yuki, I believe, as well. Very, very good stuff. I want to stab him with a pencil. Fair enough, I do too. Where again, essentially, Nerea says, I'm just here to kill Spacian scum like you. Well, now at least you're being honest. Let's be honest with each other, since both of our lives are so cheap. That's a good line. I like Elon number 5. He's cool. And okay, now I have to be critical again. 12 minutes and 16 seconds. Let's go bang. Let's go bang. Let's go bang. Let's go bang. That's another, 30-second barely scene where essentially the vibe is that Shadiq is starting to put pieces into place to sell some assets to Earthian companies, like he said was his kind of modus operandi, right? And that nobody suspects a thing, and that we're also in cahoots with the Space Assembly League at least a little bit, or we're doing something with them. That's all you take from the scene. Was it worth the screen time? I don't know. I don't think it was. And then this seems really clunky as well. Then we have kind of Mirine and Guel and Prospera in the room being like, oh, we're losing the election. How are we going to make things better? Prospera literally says, let's look to the TV for some inspiration. And then she turns on the TV and then it's literally the thing that's going to be the inspiration going forward. What? That's insane. Again, it's contrived and clunky. I don't like it. So there are riots on Earth in this particular part between Benerit people and Earthian armed forces, right? It was enforcing harsh security measures in the name of criminal investigation. Look at the terrible scenes that are happening, right? Again, this is more episode 16 type stuff, right? Like we saw the boots on the ground people not really liking the intervention here and it being a little bit too rigorous and violent, right? This presents an opportunity for you to enforce your tenets and in the tenets of Gundam and run on that kind of stuff, right? If we were to end these riots, that would make us pretty popular, right? And ending it using our kind of stuff in that kind of process, that seems like a great idea overall, right? However, Prospera warns that you'll be going to an armed area unarmed. So you got to bring something with you, otherwise it's, uncool. You're Benerit scum, you're Spacian scum, you're not going to be, despite your Earthian stuff, you're not going to be welcomed there, right? So you got to take at least a little bit of, firepower to prove yourself, right? You can't negotiate on even terms if you don't have that, and we suggest bringing Ariel. And saying here that, yep, we're going to use Ariel, but we're not going to bring any weapons, we're not going to let Plant Cueta happen again. I guess this is a setup for future episodes because we don't really pay off on this yet, but you're going to go meet with some people and try to shut down some riots. Fair enough, and that's going to be your proof by which you're going to run the election on. Again, seems broadly very optimistic. Will you be able to follow through on this kind of stuff, or will it go haywire? The Curse of the Gundam, the Delling Legacy, all that other kind of stuff, channeling into this. It's a wait and see. We'll see how this goes. I think this one here is the most egregious one. So if we go here, we had the end of this scene, right? Then we pan over here to Shariq having a conversation with these girls. And that scene goes for 2 seconds. Literally. And then from there we just go off to some other rando talking about Guel. And then Lauda's feeling bad about that. That's pretty bad. I don't know. I think this is the worst portion. That small scene where Lauda is now feeling a little bit undervalued in Juturk House goes for another 5 to 10 seconds, and then we have Bell meeting with the Space Assembly people, and then this scene goes for another 20 seconds. So I guess the vibe is that you're being brought in for questioning. We're investigating Shinsei and Prospera, essentially. We know that from previous episodes. You're a key cog in that. We'll see how we go. And again, this is the evidence for my major criticism for the episode, which is that it's way too fast. The things make sense on paper once you reread them, right? It's just... It's way too quick. Way too quick. Oh, it doesn't end here. We then have the non sequitur scene of Martin confessing to the Bowl of Destiny, and then it turns out Cecilia's on the other side and now learns this information. But at least this one's funny, so I'll give you that. Look at her. This is completely ridiculous. Good bit. Just too quick again. It feels like I'm scrolling TikTok, or I'm watching fucking Rick and Morty interdimensional fucking cable. It's fucked. It's fucked. But anyway, we're out of that section now, hopefully. Either way, back to the A-plot of the episode, we have Soletta and the gang trying to meet up with Miorine. At that same point, Miorine is also meeting with that Kananji bloke, who's the Dominicus guy. I do like Guel also feeling kind of starstruck there, considering he wanted to be a Dominicus way back in the day. That's kind of cool. I like that. Now, this makes sense in retrospect, too. Prospera learns that Soletta is here. She's like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Ariel then communicates with Prospera and basically says, let me handle this, I think. And that's when, I basically present myself and open up myself and, hey, get inside and we'll talk things out, right? Sibling to sibling. Let me handle this, mum, is what Ariel's saying here. Again, it's kind of subtle here in the moment to give the reveal a little bit more oomph, but it's there. I'll give you a pass on that. And yeah, here we go. It's time for, Soletta to hop inside Ariel and get her mind exploded. Now, after my misgivings about this portion of the episode, I have nothing but praise for the rest, even if it's a little bit confusing. I at least, I really like it in concept, and I think it's very well executed. Again, outside of the relationship between Soletta and Miorine and the relationship between Soletta and Prospera, I think the relationship between Soletta and Ariel is the next biggest one, right? So seeing Ariel, or maybe you could argue that it's even the strongest, right? Because even if Miorine asked me to get rid of Ariel, I wouldn't have done so, right? She's my precious sibling or whatever, right? A precious thing to me, potentially, right? Having a personified Ariel step up and do this here in this time is full of meaning, right? And it's another step in the rejection process for you. The tone of the scene is, at least I have you, Ariel, right? Things are going poorly elsewhere with Miorine and stuff, but at least you're on my side. We must also remember the use of the Ariel cockpit in many other instances in the rest of the show, right? It's been this place where you can kind of lock yourself in and have these really personal conversations, right? Have these heart-to-hearts, like one would do with their sibling and so forth, right? It's your little special place where you can sit and think about things, right? I haven't had you. I haven't been able to vent like this, and finally I'm here. I'm able to do stuff like this. This is great. And then I have my one comfort, again, taken from me. Finally able to be honest with Ariel about the whole Miorine thing. It deeply, deeply hurts not being with her, right? But I must move forward and gain too, like that motto says, you know? However, from here, we finally decide it's time to be honest with Soletta. Let the space baby reveal herself. And the way we do that is that Ariel, or this personification of Ariel, Eri, let's call her, recalls a day on Mercury where the two of them had an experience and had a fond memory, right? I was there with you every step of the way. I've been with you from the jump. We're siblings, right? And for the record here, the little anecdote's quite sweet as well. The heating unit, or my heating unit, was broken, right? So you took your half-empty mug and held it to my cockpit to try to warm me up, right? You cared for me like a sibling would, right? And this is when we say it, right? The door is open. We don't need the key anymore. You were the key. Thank you for your service, but I'm letting you go now. The name we give this entire process here is the Children of the Coven, which, again, which from Mercury, you can see how we got here. And yeah, kind of you and your help as the key has helped us to proliferate and be a thing. So thank you for your service, essentially, right? Again, you've been like a sister to me. You've helped me grow up. You've helped me become the person I am, right? As much as you're a clone of me, I'm also a clone of you, I guess, right? So this is when we get a little bit sci-fi convoluted. So you're all Repla children created from my genes. 17 years ago, when Mum, don't you remember, but it's fine now, Quiet Zero will create a world where Eri can live. So, there was a moment 17 years ago, whenabouts you would have been born, right, whereby I essentially died, but lived on inside Ariel. I replicated and made a bunch of gun bits, which are all epic and stuff, and they have their different personifications as we can see them here. But I also created you in that process. They're all my replicated genes or whatever. That speaks to Soletta here as well, right? So again, we don't need you anymore, Soletta. Soletta starts freaking out, and then we fucking mind meld with her and teach her some shit. It's the first time we've seen Soletta experiencing a data storm as well, which I think is pretty pointed as well. We see a dead Eri. Obviously, Prospera is struggling to deal with that, or what was it, Elnora, right? We have the machine resonating, very cool, and then outside of the machine, I have a physical, now clone daughter. What? How does that occur? Also, for filling in timeline stuff, I was under the impression that this Eri was the Eri from the exact intro. I was thinking like 15 minutes after the intro, fucking Eri carks it. But no, there's years there, right? And that's how the timeline makes sense. I believe there's a 4-year gap. So I'll no longer need a pilot anymore. You can't cling to me anymore. Not to me or Mum. I get kicked out of the cockpit, out into space, floating around on my lonesome. Love the camera here. Focus in on Ariel. Spin around. Ariel again. And then intercepted by Prospera, where I'm clinging to Prospera, again, my rock through all of this, right? The one person I can trust. The one person I've trusted implicitly this entire time. There must be something wrong with Ariel. This can't be true. No, it is true. It's just as she says. I'm going to push you away. Go back to school, Soletta. It has all you need to fill your heart. I'm going to go over to my real daughter right now. Oh, shit. So, one, I've been rejected by Ariel through Eri, right? In my kind of weird fever space dream. I found out that I was fucking adopted. I found out that I'm a clone. I found out that my mother doesn't love me as much as she loves my other sister. And my fucking wife left me? All on the same day? And now I'm out in space all alone? What the fuck? Like, that's so bad. Find me somebody in fiction that arguably had a worse day than that. I don't think you can. And that entire time, fucking Miorine's just in her ship serving cunt. So, like, what's... what are we doing? Anyway, sucks to be Soletta. That's my mission statement. That's my kind of thesis statement for this whole session. I want to see Soletta bounce back. We do get Prospera having a few second thoughts here. What if we took her with us? What if we included her in this ride? She's clearly, subservient to us. That would be great. But no, they're both of the same opinion as Miorine. She deserves to live freely, away from all this stuff. It is out of our love for you that we let you go. Now, this reveals the cynicism of Miorine's earlier decision. This feels like shit, right? That's clearly not how you love somebody. Clearly. That is shit. That is not what we want. Everybody here has, Soletta's best interests in mind, and apparently that's leaving her? That's abandoning her? And everybody believes it? Again, I want Soletta to walk in and say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm worth it. Include me in this shit. Or, fuck you, I'm gonna beat your ass now. Either will do, I guess. And yeah, she's just crying. I thought there may be some kind of, child in the womb type imagery here, I would say. Like in the kind of fetal position outside of Earth, kind of left alone out here in space by my lonesome, all that kind of stuff. And again, that tie to my sibling, that tie to my origins, that tie to my mother, all there kind of visually. I think that's pretty epic. And again, Earth being the place we're jetting off to when Miorine is going to do her thing, I'm being left behind by everybody. Very, very cool. And yeah, from there we'll end our session here today. I'm agreeing with myself initially about the pacing stuff. I think it's kind of fucked, but that's fine. It's allowed to be. At the very least, the show's watchable. It's extremely watchable. These sessions and the episodes themselves have gone quite quickly. I feel the need to talk about it. I don't feel like it's frivolous. I feel like there's importance to what's occurring. I just feel like it's too quick. I really do. But again, like the general direction for Soletta, I think the reveals are big picture, even if I kind of got the clone vibe already. I like the Elan connection there. Please have a conversation, right? Again, with these other characters that feel like they've been discarded, right? Because Soletta can now identify with that quite a bit. I think that's a direction we can and should go. I don't know what Miorine is doing with the election. Shadik's still being broadly sus. I'm waiting for his House of Cards to fold in, but that'll happen in time, I guess. We are tad convoluted, but I've said that enough. We'll leave it. Hey, good episodes. I'm enjoying myself, all that other kind of stuff. And yeah, we'll be back next week for 2 more. Getting towards the pointy end now. Last kind of fourth of the show. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Goodbye.